So today, we're going to tackle three of the most powerful ideas in human history: religion, philosophy, and Dharma. Now, each one gives us a way to answer life's biggest questions, but wow, did they take different paths to get there. Let's dive in and see how these three frameworks really shape our world and the choices we make every single day.
Seriously, just take a second and think about it. What is your internal compass? You know, the thing you turn to when you're making a tough call. Is it a set of deeply held beliefs, a commitment to pure, rational thought? Or maybe it's something deeper, a sense of duty, of right action. These are the exact paths we're going to explore today. All right, so let's start with the two big ones, the frameworks that have pretty much shaped human thought for thousands of years. We tend to think of them as totally separate, maybe even opposing forces. For now, let's think of them as our two foundational pillars.
First up, we've got religion. You know, the word itself is a huge clue. It comes from the Latin religio, which means to bind together. And that's exactly its core function. It's not just about one belief, but a whole system, rituals, ethics, symbols, that binds a community together and connects them to something sacred, something bigger than themselves.
And our second pillar is philosophy. I love this one. Its Greek roots tell you everything you need to know. Philo means love, and Sophia means wisdom. So philosophy is quite literally the love of wisdom. It doesn't ask for faith or rely on divine revelation. Nope. Its tools are reason, logic, and a relentless critical look at, well, everything.
Okay, so this is where you really see the fork in the road. On one side, you've got a journey based on faith and revelation, guided by beliefs with a goal of finding harmony or maybe salvation. On the other side, you have a path of pure reason and logic, pushing you to question everything in the search for truth. Two very, very different ways to find meaning.
But here's where things get really interesting. What if that clean line we just drew in the sand, what if it gets a little blurry? What if it's not a hard border, but more of a spectrum? Because in many Eastern traditions, especially in India, that sharp separation just kind of dissolves. Faith and reason don't just coexist, they meet.
Yeah, check out this quote. It just nails this idea. In this way of thinking, religion isn't just a list of rules you have to accept. It actually becomes the vehicle for deep philosophical exploration. The two pillars we just defined, they start to look like they're merging into one.
A perfect example of this is in the Upanishads. These are these ancient spiritual texts, but man, they dive deep into some heavy philosophical questions, like what's the true nature of reality? Or who am I, really, underneath it all? And they don't just hand you answers. They guide you on a journey of self-discovery that leads to this incredible realization. Tat Twam Asi. You are that ultimate reality. It's this beautiful fusion of the spiritual and the philosophical.
So, out of this blend of the spiritual and the philosophical, we get this third way, a totally unique concept that isn't quite religion and isn't quite philosophy, but something else entirely. It's called Dharma.
So what in the world is Dharma? Well, the Sanskrit root dhru means to uphold or to sustain. And that's the key. Think of it like the cosmic glue, the fundamental principle holding everything together, from the laws of physics to the fabric of society, all the way down to the moral compass inside each of us. It's not a belief system, it's an order you try to align yourself with. It's not just one thing, right? It works on all these different levels. It's like we're zooming in. You start with the huge cosmic order, the laws of nature. Then you zoom into our social duties, our roles in our families and communities. Then you zoom in further to universal ethics, like truth and nonviolence. And finally, you zoom all the way into your personal path. What's the right thing for you to do?
Okay, and this is probably the most important thing to get about Dharma. It is not a rigid set of rules that applies to everyone, everywhere, all the time. It's a flexible, contextual, moral framework. It gets that the right action for one person in one situation might be totally different for someone else in another.
And when you shift the focus from being God-centered to being duty-centered, well, that changes everything. It naturally makes the whole framework more inclusive, more open to different paths. The emphasis isn't on belonging to some institution, it's on your own experience and, most importantly, on what you do.
Now, even though Dharma is a Sanskrit word, this core idea, this idea of a duty-based way of life, it's everywhere. You can find it all over the world. It's like a global ethical compass that seems to point different cultures toward a really similar set of principles. I mean, look at the ancient Stoics. Their whole thing was about ethics and self-control. Or think about Confucianism, which is built from the ground up on ideas of social duty and harmony.
Even the famous philosopher Immanuel Kant based his entire moral system on the concept of duty. It seems like this quest for the right way to act is just a fundamentally human thing.
All right, so we've talked about all this theory. Religion, philosophy, Dharma. But so what? Why does any of this actually matter in our real everyday lives? How do we take it from theory and put it into practice?
Well, it's helpful to think of them as three different lenses you can use to look at life. You've got the lens of faith, the lens of reason, and the lens of action. Each one gives you a totally unique and valuable perspective. And it's not that one is better than the others, they're just different tools for the journey.
And that's the real payoff here. These aren't just words for a trivia night. They're actual tools for thinking. Understanding them helps us navigate tricky ethical problems, and, maybe more importantly, it forces us to be more reflective about why we believe what we believe and why we do what we do.
And this is where Dharma really brings it all home. While religion might ask, what should I believe? And philosophy might ask, what is true? Dharma pulls our focus right here, into the present moment. It asks a beautifully simple but incredibly profound question. What is the right action for me, right here, right now?
So as we finish up here, I want to leave you with this thought. We've just looked at 3 different compasses for navigating life. The real question is, now that you know about them, what's the right action for you today? Thanks for tuning in.